Enggak. Tahu-tahu ikaw.
Our brain can potentially memorize 2.5 petabytes of information, which is roughly the equivalent of 3 million hours of YouTube videos. In order to use some of that staggering capacity a little more effectively when you learn, here are some tips that are based on widely accepted research by neuroscientists and learning experts. Spaced repetition. To maximize your learning, study short but often. Neuroscientists proved that synapses, the million billion connectors in your brain that make you remember and understand stuff, grow mainly at night when you were asleep. This means that it is more productive to study regularly with sleeping breaks in between. Try it. Practice something for 15 minutes every day and you'll be surprised by your progress within just weeks. Find your own style. While listening to the history teacher, Tom scribbles images and Jane finishes 1 kilo of nuts. Some enjoy watching videos over reading books, others study with friends, and some like sitting in silence among a million books. Everybody is different. Good night's sleep. Sleep and dreams are vital to processing and storing new information. Harvard studies showed that students who had a good night's sleep remembered their study materials 35% better than those who studied in the morning to take a test in the evening. Focus. If you tend to procrastinate, which means that you tend to switch from doing something hard like studying maths to something easy like browsing the web, protect yourself from distraction. One way of doing this is to shut down your mobile phone or go to a quiet place like a library. Pomodoro technique. Set a timer to 25 minutes when you focus entirely on your studies. When the timer rings, relax for 5 minutes. If you want to continue, just set the timer again. The small breaks in between are relaxing and motivating to keep going. Hard stuff first. Do the things that are difficult first, because if you are like most people, you have the strongest willpower in the morning. Once you are done with the hard stuff, you will feel better for the rest of the day and probably more motivated to get other things done. Exercise, meditate, and converse. There are few activities proven to grow your brain. However, physical exercise, regular meditation, and good conversations apparently do exactly that. They lead to the creation of new neurons inside your brain and therefore grow its potential. Go places. You can create deeper memories of a subject by learning in a richer environment that offers more visual clues. In an experiment, 2 groups of students had to remember random words. One group changed the classroom while studying. The other didn't. The group that studied in 2 different rooms, one was small and windowless, the other big and bright, was 40% more likely to recall the words later. Take fun seriously. Whatever it is, find a fun way to practice. Modern learning science believes that positive emotions are very important for increasing your learning potential. So do yourself a favor and have a good time. Space your studies. In order to remember things for a longer time, repeat the material in spaced intervals. Facts or vocabularies, for example, are best learned if you review them the first time 1 to 2 days after the initial study, and then again after 1 week and after 1 month. 30% read, 70% recite. If you have 1 hour to learn to recite a poem or prepare for a speech, spend 20 minutes of the time on studying the text and 40 minutes on practicing to recite. This ratio usually leads to the best results. In the case of an emergency, put a glass of water next to you. Take a sip whenever you lose it. Instant self-test. After you study, finish up with a quick quiz. Immediate recall in the form of a test or a short summary on what you've just learned can increase retention by as much as 30%. Because it's much harder for your brain to reflect and read, That extra effort creates deeper traces in your memory. Don't force it. Motivation is like hunger. You cannot force yourself to be motivated, just like you can't tell someone else to be hungry. So if you are not hungry right now, don't worry. Take a break and do something else.
Okay. So, yun ang ating commercial. So, kanina, kanina habang nag-share tayo about sa pandemic, kaka-upload lang ng mga ginawa kong slides. So, ay ginawa ko, nilagyan ko ng dubbing. So, anyway, simulan na natin.
Sige.
So, anong gusto nyo? Isang tuloy-tuloy na puro video or isa-isa tapos kwentuhan ng konti about it?
Sige, we can, isa-isa. Oh, gusto ko rin.
Isa-isa, okay. Solve. Solve tayo doon. Naliligaw ako. Ayun. Kita na ba? Ayun. So, parang wala tulog. Tulog ba?
Physiological processes. The functions of living organisms and their parts, and the physical and chemical factors and processes involved. Here are known facts about reading. 1. Reading involves both an organic or physiological process and a mental or cognitive processes. 2. In the physiological process, the most basic step is for the eyes to see, identify, and recognize the printed word or image.
Kaya pala maliit.
3. The light pattern from the printed symbols hit the foveal areas or closely packed sensory cell or the retina. Upon close inspection of the retina, it has 4 areas. A. Fovea centralis. B. Macula lutea. C. Optic nerve. D. The arteries. Number 4. In turn, this induces chemical changes that create patterns of nerve currents into the optic nerve fiber. Number 5. Then these currents travel to a center in the midbrain. In this illustration, you can see the optic nerve. It transmits visual information from the retina to the brain. Number 6. The stage of reading revolves around the ability to identify and recognize words, which are the smallest unit of visual identification and meaningful recognition. But the act of reading does not take place if the letters are perceived in isolation. Number 7. Finally, using the currents that travel to the midbrain, the cerebral cortex intercepts the symbols. Number 8. Studies show eye movement in reading, with the eye perceiving and pausing on the printed material horizontally from left to right and top to bottom, or right to left and bottom to top. Number 9. Scientific experiments have also shown that there are several eye movements. A. Fixation, or the eye stopping or getting fixated on the word or words. B. Interfixation, or the eyes moving from stopping point to the other. C. Return sweeps with the eye swinging back from the end line to the beginning of the next line. D. Short, quick hop and jump movements called saccades, done specially by literate people to move ahead on a line of print.
Saccades. Saccade.
E. Regression or backward right to left movement in case there is need to double check what is being read. F. Span of recognition or the eye's recognition of the group of words. It is believed that readers can add to their reading ability by widening the span or recognition by means of chunking of phrases, a focus on the total word pattern. As the span widens, fixation decreases, resulting in increased speed in reading. Reading as a cognitive process. The mental or cognitive process in the perception of the meaning is also known as comprehension. Two basic steps in reading comprehension. 1. The extraneous process that creates a stimulus on the visual centers of the brain. And 2. Fusion or interpretation or construction or meaning by the mind out of the stimuli.
Nasira yung sound.
Immediate arousal of associations in the recognition of the written symbols, their pronunciation, vocabulary, meaning, context, etc. Other stimuli inclusive of what is kinesthetic or auditory. These stimuli are distributed to the brain centers. Synthesis or the fusion or related inputs from brain centers resulting in the recognition of the meaning of the printed symbols. Scientists have described the cognitive process in reading, selecting and combining relevant items of experience that are implied by the immediate context, by the author's mood, tone, or intention, and by everything the reader knows that makes clear the meaning of the passage. Richards. Levels of comprehension, making us aware of the faculties of the mind at work in each particular reading activity. 1. Literal. 2. Interpretative. 3. Applied. 4. Evaluative. Scientists also make reference to metacognition, which refers to higher comprehension skill characterized by self-awareness, careful reading, and greater retention, making previous assumptions or hypotheses, the deliberate and combined ability to reflect, question, classify, summarize, and predict. Information reading, which gives attention to SQ3R.
Okay, that's the end of the video. Guys, nadaanan nyo ba yung SQ3R?
Yeah, napag-aralan po natin yan.
Naalala ko siya. Nasa ano siya, sir eh. Nasa ano siya natin sa module. Di ba, Micah? Reading module.
Yes. Mm-mm.
Okay, that's a shame. I don't remember.
Binasa, no? Actually, sir, interested talaga ako dito sa reading subject natin kasi nga mas ako dito eh, mas kailangan ko to kasi nga sa literature ko na subject.
So ano yung na yun? Anong meaning nun? SQ3R.
Ano po, ito survey, query, tapos read, recall, and review.
Survey,
Query.
query,
read,
replay,
recall,
read,
and
recall,
review.
and review. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Woo! Okay. May isa pang ano dito, video, pero brain na siya eh. So, it is also physiological.
Mhm.
Pero, ano, gusto nyo ituloy? Maigsi lang naman, mga 2 minutes yata to. Ay, mahaba. 6 minutes. So, anyway, I think this is where SPED comes in. Kasi ano to, physiological, physical, kung ano yung nangyayari do sa katawan or mata ng reader. So, affected siya kung halimbawang may something sa kanyang mata, balag or something. O kaya naman na, hindi, pag cognitive, sa kabila na yung topic na yun eh. So anyway, what do you guys think? Pasensya na kung maulan ha. Medyo naririnig nyo yata sa audio.
Hindi
Hindi
naman po.
naman.
Hindi ba? Okay. Ako lang pala. O sige, continue. Ano yung tingin nyo?
Tingin ko po din sa physiological process of reading, it's mostly, I think, the movement of the eyes as we read. Parang the movement of the eyes, and then yung perceptual skills natin using our eyes. So, for example, dun sa movement of the eyes, so yung merong na, what do you call this? Na-mention kanina, like may fixation, and then merong widening ng, what do you call this? Like visual span, and then meron yung scanning, and then meron din process like when you go back to the initial, to the first word of the
Starting
second
point.
line.
So, mostly eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sa bagay, yun ang mostly diniscuss nung opening nung video.
Yeah, and I think it has something to do with yun nga, yung visual perception. Kasi maraming mga bata din, like, may mga students ako na, for example, kapag merong isang page na ng story, na overwhelm sila visually. So, hindi nila alam what word to look at, and then what direction to go, which line to look at first. So, yeah, I think it's a skill na it's very easy to take, what do you call this, like,
Take for granted.
yeah, take for granted, kasi it seems like it comes very naturally to us, pero it's a skill na nade-develop ng mga bata slowly while they grow old, na yun, kailangan nila matutunan how to like survey a text para maintindihan nila yung binabasa nila.
Okay. Parang naalala ko nung bata ako, yung sinabi mo na if one page of a book has so many texts, now overwhelmed, I remember that feeling. So, nung bata ako, I always look for books na makulay, merong litrato or merong drawing or whatever. And then nakita ko yung libro ng pinsan ko kasi ano na siya nung panahon na yun, high school. Nung pagbuklat kong ganon, nobela. So, okay. So, ayun nga. I still remember yung feeling. So, ayun nga.
Yeah, actually, that's true, sir. Kasi, di ba ako talaga, mahilig na talaga ako magbasa. Like, no, like, anong tawag doon? Paperback na novel since I was, like,
pocket
diba
books.
sabi ko sa'yo na from grade 5 to grade 6 kasi yung mga Harley Quinn na yung binabasa ko. So, yung mga classmate ko, at siguro mga first year high school, ng mga classmate ko, nang nagbabasa ako ng mga ganon, ang binabasa nila, yung mga comics nga, tapos sabi nila, hindi ka ba nalulula sa binabasa mo? Ang daming words niyan. Dapat may pictures, sabi nila. Dapat may pictures. Dapat ang mga books may mga pictures to illustrate. Ganon-ganon sila. Yun, nakakalula nga. Yun, sa iba, siguro sa hindi talaga nasanay ba to have these kinds of link. Parang, di ba sabi ni Ria last time, accumulated yung the more you read, the more you know. Yun yung so little by little it comes with the first is 'di ba sabi kanina sa mo sir, first is a physiological process, then after comes in with a cognitive process na. So yun, it really it's true. It's true, hindi lang yun mga haka-haka nung mga that's pinagstudihan niya nila 'di ba?
Yes, mapapansin niyo rin po na mas bata yung target age ng mga libro.
That's
mas
true, yes.
Yung letters. Tapos mas konti yung sentences,
Syllable.
mas konti yung words in one page. Tapos, familiar po ba kayo kay Geronimo Stilton?
No.
Na, po siya, chapter book siya for kids. Tapos, ang maganda po dun sa Geronimo Stilton, so chapter book na siya, so marami na siyang sentences in one page, pero yung mga interesting words, mga important words, nilalagyan nila ng art. So for example, kung cheese yung nakasulat, kulay yellow yung yung letters, or may bilog-bilog para mukha
para mas obvious.
So nila like parang may word association, may letter association, no?
Yes.
True.
So makikita mo talaga na even yung mga authors ng books, they're very conscientious of their population, target population, na kahit na yun nga, it's already a chapter book, pero yung Geronimo Stilton, pang 12-year-old and younger lang siya. So, consider talaga nila na itong mga ages na to, hindi pa sila ganun kagaling to receive a lot of information visually in the form of text.
Okay. So mostly eyes. Okay.
So pag-uusapan natin yung context, text and context sa sa after na ni sir, kasi mayroon nga yung nabanggit doon sa mga target na yan, Mike, So maganda yan, magandang talaga. Tsaka yun, tama yung sinabi mo, Mike, na may talaga sila. Teachers are really tawag nito, encouraged to know the to teach the child at the very young age. Kasi
as young as possible.
As young as possible talaga, sir. Kasi yun yung yung sinasabi mo kanina, sir, na yung sa first video na yung neurons ba, nagbi-build up yung neurons, the more may bagong neurons, may na siya, parang nagaganon-ganon siya, parang yung spell ni Harry Potter na pag tinatouch mo yung isang bagay, nagmumultiply siya, yung parang ganon. Yun yung kasi yung pagbata pa siguro yung brain na yun yung mas madali siyang magmultiply. Ang neurons niya mas madaling magmultiply kaysa sa ating matatanda na parang elastic na masyado ng makunat.
Grabe naman yung description, makunat.
Diba? Ganon yun. Kasi yung bata, pag itatouch mo lang siya, mag-multiply agad ng ganito yung neurons niya. Pero pag matanda na, siguro ang niya, ang higpit niya. Ayaw niyang makuha doon ang lagkit-lagkit. Ganon siguro yung ng bata, fresh, ganon. Masyado pang malambot.
Tapos meron din po akong isa pang experience sa visual perception. So like yung katulad niya po nun with young kids, na talagang sobrang important na i-consider yung needs nila. Kasi ang napansin ko rin po, yung iba kong students, lalo kapag ngayon na everything is online, yung iba sa kanila, halimbawa, ito lang yung nakikita mo, they're going to stop there. Tapos, hindi na nila isa-scroll up. Kahit na, obviously, meron pang karugtong sa ilalim. Kasi di ba minsan makikita mo naman yun na parang meron pang parts ng letters sa baba. So, you need to scroll up. So, usually, ginagawa ko dyan, kinakausap ko yung katrabaho ko na occupational therapist. Tapos, yun, na-identify niya na may visual perception problem yung bata. Kaya pala siya hindi nagsuscroll up kasi hindi niya napapansin na meron pang na line. So, yun, kaya talagang sobrang halaga ng visual perception sa pagbabasa ng bata.
True.
Okay, i-welcome na natin si Miss Rhea.
Hi,
Hello po.
Rian.
What are we talking about?
Ang agad
Sorry,
tumawag ni sir.
sorry. Ako pa naman may gusto na maaga. Ako pala yung late. Sorry. May family members na gusto So, hindi ko matanggihan. Sorry.
Okay lang. Okay lang.
What are we talking about?
Physiological development and reading.
Okay.
Tsaka yung cognitive process, nasali na rin.
Sa number 2 na yun. So,
Okay.
bali, Miss Rhea, bakit yung pangalan mo parang PLGAR? Anong nangyari?
Talaga ngayon? I'm using a
Oo.
different account.
Okay.
Oo.
Never mind. So, anyway, second video na tayo. Okay lang ba?
Yes.
Second video. So, this is cognitive development and reading. Okay. Pakisabi kung walang sound.
Reading and cognitive development. Current theories about reading. Proponents: John Piaget and Lev Vygotsky.
Natatawa siya sa gawa niya.
Cognitive, how people think and understand, comes from Latin word cognitio, from conoscere, which means get to know, concerned with acquisition of knowledge. Reading and cognitive development. Researches conducted by Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky have shown that language and thought interact with each other, and that children go through 5 stages of development. Stage 1, sensory motor period, birth to 2 years old. The child explores the world through his 5 senses, is initially not able to represent things in his mind, develops object permanence, learns by adaptation to environment. Reading in the sensory motor period. The child is interested in picture books. Stage 2, pre-operation or pre-conceptual period, 2 to 4 years old. The child explores the world around him, experiments with things in his environment, imitates adults in the use of things, develops animism, develops egocentrism. Reading in the pre-operational period. The child begins to develop concepts and associate words with pictures and images. His reading interest involves a growing visual discrimination of objects and symbols. Stage 3, intuitive thought period, 4 to 7 years old. The child is introduced to concepts of number, weight, length, and height. Reading in the intuitive thought period. The child enjoys listening to rhymes and reading and reciting poems, develops reading readiness skills, can read simple words, phrases, and sentences, 4 to 5 years old, can read pre-primers and basal readers, 6 to 7 years old. Stage 4, concrete operational, 8 to 11 years old. The child is capable of thinking out about actions previously carried out, only at a sensory motor level, develops logical reasoning, develops conservation. Reading in the concrete operational period. The child can do a lot of reading with meaning, can retell stories read, can pick out keywords or topic sentences that give the main idea. The child can note supporting details, can determine cause-effect relationships, can make inferences. There is a rapid growth in reading and in use of reading tool. Stage 5. Formal operational period. 11 to 14 years old. The pre-teener is capable of dealing with hypotheses and propositions. Develops abstraction. Reading in the formal operational period. The pre-teener can cope with higher-level critical reading skills, drawing conclusions, making judgments, and evaluating plot and style. For bright pupils, reading has become truly analytic, interactive, constructive, and strategic. Beginning of period of refinement and wide reading.
Ay, tapos na pala. Ayun. So, ano po ang ating comment? Medyo nakakatawa, wag nyo na lang tawanan.
Ikaw na kaya natatawa sa trabaho mo. Actually, nakakatawa talaga nakaka-hear ng sarili mong boses.
Oo, correct.
Natatawa din ako sa aking boss.
May future ka, sir, Pwedeng pang voice over talent.
Oo nga.
Ang galing ng what do you call that? Prosody ba yun, Micah? Is that right?
Yes po,
Yung tone,
prophet.
no? Oo, yung tone. Oo, mahirap yun. It's not natural.
Yeah, very modulated nung
Oo. Tignan, nakakaano siya. Ka-relax.
Ayun.
So, comment po tayo.
Sorry, nakapokus sa boss.
Ayaw nga, no? Hindi ko napansin.
Ano po, dun sa sensory motor stage, so na-mention po na yung kids, they're into reading books with pictures, pero also, being that it's sensory motor, so di mo rin makikita yung mga books na iba-iba yung textures, and then marami silang pwedeng ma-fidget around. So,
correct.
project po namin yan, sobrang funny ng college, na kailangan mo gumawa ng book, tapos yung pwedeng paglaruan ng bata.
Yung pagbukas mong ganun, may parang lalabas na bahay, parang ganun.
Pwede.
Naalala ko yung mga ganun. Gusto ko yun.
Correct.
Yes, exactly. Pop up. Kasi when I was a kid, I love that. Pagbukas ko, sabi, there was a house, blah, blah, blah. Pag yung pop up, house din yung nakalagay. Tapos, na-visualize ko, sabi, may pusa raw sa window. May ginaganon-ganon ako yung pusa, lumalabas doon sa gilid. I remember that. So, ayun.
Actually, meron ding ewan ko kung nabili ko yun or binili ko yun para sa or nakita ko lang. Kasi, alam mo yung book for different kinds of dinosaurs. 'Di ba meron yung meron sir yung pag mo yan tas i-feel mo siya, ito yung dinosaur, ganon. Ito yung texture ng dinosaur. Tapos pag another page naman, ito yung texture ng pterodactyl, mga ganon. Meron ganon na na mga book na, mga sensory books na siya, tas may picture, tapos may skin siya dito sa gilid, tapos may picture siya, tapos may pangalan. So pag pa, may senses na siya, may visual na siya. Ano nga yung isa? Yung letter recognition, yung ganon. Meron na siyang ganon. Ang na ngayon, madami na silang merch na mga ganon.
Malayo na. Kasi nung bata ako, picture, audio, that's it.
Oo. Meron nga ganon. Tapos, yun, meron ding sound, yung parang, for example, For example, monkey, tapos may sound ng anong sound ng monkey, ipipress mo doon. Meron kasi yung subject ko ba, yung subject ko sa case study ko, meron kasi sa mga ganung book. So yun siguro yung isa sa dahilan kung bakit masyado siyang advanced kasi nga marami siyang different kinds of materials in growing up. Mm-mm.
Napansin ko nga kasi kung kinumpara ko yung sarili ko sa mga pinsan ko, mas ako sa English, malayo. Sila kasi nag-aaral sa school, only books, kung ano lang yung tinuro sa school. Yung sa bahay kasi namin, yung nanay ko, pumili ng listen and learn, yung sinabi ko before. Meron siyang books na maraming pictures, and then merong tape, alam nyo na edad ko na. So, yung tape na yun, pare-parehas naman yata tayo ng age. So, yung tape na yun, gusto ko siyang naririnig kasi ang daming sound, daming special effects. So, looking back to that, parang nga no, mas mabilis matuto kapag mas maraming senses.
Pag-engage. Sa amin naman, sa school, sa preschool, yung mga books na ganyan, sila yung una nasisira. Kasi mga bata, nagkaagawan sila pag gano'n. Hindi, actually, sa ko mahanap. Familiar kayo sa book sale?
Yes. Ang dami kong books from book sale.
So, doon lang ako naghahanap para hindi masakit sa loob ko kapag may masisirang libro. Yun, very, very true yan. Kasi sa age na gano'n, para ma-interest sila tingnan yung books, dapat interactive siya. Maganda interactive siya, pero offline siya. So, talagang naghahanap ako ng gano'n. Lalo dun sa mga very, very young, sa mga 2 years old. Gusto nila yun kasi may texture. Minsan, halimbawa, ang title ng book, What Shoes Will I Wear Today? Kasi bawat isang book, meron kang, yung mga naka-velcro, gano'n, ipapractice nila yung parang Montessori style na rin. May shoes na may velcro, may shoes na iboboton mo, merong zipper mo. So, ang ganda ng mga ganong books. Yun nga lang, sisira talaga ng mga bata. Hindi pa nila alam gamitin. And yung sa sinasabi naman ni Sir John about reading, that's very true. Kasi it has been proven na yung pag-environment mo ay print-rich, madaling makakabasa yung bata. So sa experience naman namin, kapag ine-evaluate yung mga bata, ano yung mga factors na meron sa bata na to, kung bakit nauna siya magbasa. Kasi nga sabi ko, minsan, very organic siya eh. Hindi naman namin pinupukpok sa school na talagang dapat ito, mabasa mo na to at this time. So pag kinakausap namin yung mga parents, we find out na yung bata, yung mga books, madali niyang nakukuha kung kailan niya gusto. Meron siyang area sa bahay na sinet up yung parents na pwede siya maka-access kahit anong gusto niyang basahin. And nakikita niya rin kasi very important, may minomodel yung mga adults na behavior na reader din sila. Kasi ang mga bata naman, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
That's true.
So kung ano yung ginagawa mo, gagayahin lang din nila. So, in the future, kung meron kayong balak mag-anak, that's one very important thing na kailangan gawin natin sa mga bata. Kasi lahat naman tayo dito advocates of reading, no? So it's one of the best gifts we can give our children, our students. Kasi pag naturo na natin, sariling journey na nila yung learning nila, hindi na natin sila sasamahan. So, ayun, reading is a great gift talaga. And a gift that keeps on giving, kumbaga. Wala siyang tigil na dire-diretso.
True. Ay, gusto ko yun. A gift that is continuously giving.
Wow.
Wala siyang tigil.
Parang narinig ko somewhere sa religious something yun.
Oo. Tapos isa pa, interestingly, kasi nung una, nagre-resist ako sa yung pagtuturo ng reading using assisted by technology. Yeah. Pero na-realize ko, kailangan nang tanggapin na andyan na siya. So, to use it to our advantage, ang ginagawa ko, nag-pilot ako ng 1 year na merong mga 10 minutes na time na sabay-sabay naman namin gagawin yung pagbabasa, but yun nga, assisted by technology. And it worked naman. Hindi naman na yung bata. Kasi ang worry ko noon, kasi baka mamaya, hindi naintindihin yung lesson puro pindot na lang yung gawin. So,
Meron din side
oo.
effect eh.
Oo, I realize na as long as there's an adult beside the child, interacting with him, hindi lang basta mo iiwan, posible siya. Hindi siya masamang gamitin. So, yun yung realization ko. Kasi dati, I was very against it. Kasi nga, syempre traditional tayo. Basa, na dapat libro lang, offline, dapat walang ano. Pero, pwede naman pala. Pero yun nga, kailangan turuan mo yung parent o yung teacher na hindi mo lang iiwan. Talagang, ganun pa rin. Traditional pa rin. Tatabihan mo pa rin. Iba lang yung gamit na gagamitin nyo. So, yun. Possible siya. Yan.
That's good.
Okay, may kukwento lang ako tungkol doon sa, konti lang, tungkol doon sa technology, ano? When you introduce technology to kids, they are excited, pero hindi to learn, to play. So, nung inintroduce ko to, microbit, pwede siyang gamitin remote control ng laruan. So, when pinakita ko yun sa YouTube kung paano gawin, and then pinakita ko na meron kami sample sa classroom, na nalingat lang ako ng konti, mamaya naglalaro na sila, pinaglalaroan na nila yung ano. So, sayang lang naubos lang yung battery. So, yun nga. So ginawa,
ilan taon sila, sir? Sorry. Ilan taon yung students?
Mga students ko ay halo-halo. Mateyum High School 1, 2, at saka 3.
Okay. So, mga teenagers.
So, mga teenagers. So, yun nga. So, mas maganda na i-limit yung technology para kasi technology, paglalaroan lang eh. So, sayang yung time. Okay, yun lang.
Nawawala doon sa focus.
Yun.
Maganda talaga.
Exactly.
Maganda talaga yung books.
Oo.
Wala talagang nothing can beat when it comes to learning. Nothing can beat books talaga.
Pero yun nga, ang struggle ngayon, maraming bata nauunahan na eh. Kaya paano mo sila tatanggalin doon? Kasi, sige, naunahan, pero try mo i-train sa school. Pero pagdating sa bahay, balik na naman ulit. So parang naghihilahan kayo eh.
Actually, yung ginawa ko sa mga pamangkin ko, kasi wala naman kaming pera masyado. Ay, wala talaga kaming pera, hindi masyado. So hindi sila na-introduce sa gadget at the early age. Pero hindi din sila na-introduce to reading books. So, yung ginawa ko nung nag-start tayo sa diploma nga natin, syempre marami na akong alam, no? So, dapat yun ang pre-enriched environment, kailangan na doon, ganun. So, ang ginawa ko, dito kasi ang mura ng mga books, super mura talaga ng mga books. Imagine mo, nabili ko yung set ng soft cover lang naman ng Harry Potter, nabili ko lang siya ng 4,000, 7 books. Yeah, soft cover siya has. Pero soft cover na siya.
Tapos, ba siya sa Pinas? Teka, in pesos na ba yan?
In pesos na yan, 3,000 to 4,000 pesos yung bili ko yata. Kasi parang 1.5 million lang yun eh. So, yun, nabili ko. 7 books na yun ha. Tapos, kasi syempre, nang first publish yun, mahal yun, di ba? Tag 700, 800 to 1,002 yung isang book lang. Isang book pa lang yun. Anyways, marami akong binili na books dito, tapos yung mga basta set ng books, pero hindi naman, mas marami pa nga ako dito, ipapadala ko pa. Anyways, yung ginawa ko, send na yun ng book, dumating na sa Pinas, sinabi ko dun sa mga high school ko na mga na mga pamangkin ko, kasi parang 6 yata sila, gumawa ako ng chat group, ang nilagay ko sa chat group ko, Reading Club. Tapos, tapos sinabi ko sa kanila, kasi nung palang 2019 na pumunta ako doon, nag-tutor ako sa kanila ng how to, yung structure ng reading, yung text and context, yung structure niya. Tapos parang yung tinuturo ko sa school, in-apply ko sa kanila. So tinuruan ko sila ng yung plot, yung paano mag-identify ng events of the stories. Tinuruan ko sila ng ganon. Tapos napasulat ko sila ng summary of the story. That's 2019. So tuloy-tuloy ko na lang siya. So sabi ko, sige, may pinakamaraming mabasang libro, bibigyan ko ng prize ng cellphone. Ganon ako sa
Wow!
Paano mo malalaman kung binasa talaga nila?
3,000 lang na cellphone, yung kaya lang ng bulsa ko. Siyempre, wala silang ganon. So lahat sila talagang nagbabasa sila tapos nire-report nila yung ano, mami, ito na yung nabasa ko, ganon sila, sinesend nila doon sa ano, meron pang marami pang, sabi ko, marami pang book sa bahay, kuha pa kayo, tapos isend nyo sa akin yung picture, yung kung natapos yun ang basa, isend nyo sa akin yung ano, ganon, tapos, ayun, pursigido naman silang ano, tapusin yun, tapos nga, sabi, mami, si Dwen ang may pinakamaraming nabasa na book, sabi yun. Tapos, natapos mo na ba lahat, Dwen? Opo, mami, sabi niya. Tapos sabi ko, sige, bigyan kita ng ano, ng cellphone. Ayan, binilhan ko nga siya ng cellphone.
Maganda motivation. No?
Oo, kasi kung walang ganon, kung walang ano, Piaget ba yun? Yung ano, yung reward, punishment.
Rewards and punishment.
Reward and punishment. Kung walang ganon, wala talagang ano, mangyayari sa mga...
Yun yata yung ginawa sa aso eh.
Totoo. Yun, yung conditioning.
Conditioning.
Oo.
Vygotsky po yun.
Vygotsky ba yun?
Yeah.
Nagkahalo-halo.
Freud. Ayan, Freud. Ano yan? Freud, oh.
Iba rin po si Freud.
Parang ganun. So, yun yung in-apply ko. In-apply ko yun sa kanila. Tapos ngayon nga, may mga books na naman ako dito na ipapadala ulit pag may pera.
Di ba makalang shipment? Kasi mabigat?
Ang shipment dito, isang box, yung parang balikbayan box.
Mahal yun.
$200.
So that's 10,000 ba?
10,000.
Wow.
Pero ang dami mo nang maano nun ha, ang dami
Malalagay.
mo nang malalagay nun. Naglagay ako ng isang kasi ang air fryer dito mura lang din. So marami na.
Wow, pwede mapabili.
Pwede naman.
Mura ba dyan? Magpapabili ako ng mga backpack.
Alam mo ba sir, mura dito kasi tinan mo ha, yung air fryer na 5 liters sa Pinas, 9,000 pesos na yun. Dito magkano lang yun? 1,000, 2,000 pesos.
Wow. 9 liters?
Oo. Tapos yung lock-unlock na 10 liters, lock-unlock na 10 liters, siguro nasa 20,000, 15 to 20,000 yun sa Pinas. Nabili ko lang dito ng 6,000.
Lock and lock na what?
Air fryer.
Air fryer.
Merong air fryer ang lock and lock? Yung parang Tupperware?
Hindi. Yung ano, marami na sila sir oven, lahat ng kitchen.
Marami na silang ano.
Kitchen gadgets. Marami na silang
okay.
ano.
Anyway, medyo
yun. Kung gusto mo magpaano ng
na-enjoy ko yung kwento.
Ano lang, yung kung gusto, si Ma'am Ria, di ba may school ka ma'am? Kung gusto mo mag-ano ng mga books, acquire ng books.
Pag nagbukas.
Tsaka kay sir na ba?
Pag nagbukas ulit.
Yun. Si Micah sa anong dyan, mura ba padala dyan from there to Pinas?
Sobrang mahal po. Ang pinaka maliit na box dito, 5,000 na agad. Kaya, yeah, so I've never experienced na magpadala kasi sobrang mahal.
Pera na lang, no? Sayang naman kung ano.
True, yeah.
Oo. Pero do you go home often?
Opo. Before the pandemic, siguro mga 3 to 4 times a year po ako umuwi.
Wow. Mura ba yung airfare dyan?
Minsan, maraming mga
sale.
Oo.
Like how much?
Mga 10K po.
Wow, same.
Mahal pa rin.
Mahal
pa rin. Pero yung normal kasi nasa 15 hanggang 20.
Yeah.
Talaga?
Pero actually, nung nakauwi ako ng Pinas, 2017, 4 na port na yun ha. Ho Chi Minh, Manila, Jensen. So, 4 siya. And 2-way. Nabili ko lang siya ng $250. Tapos, nung 2019, umuwi ako. Last na uwi ko na kasi yun kasi di ba pandemic na. 2019, umuwi ako. For ganun pa rin, yung for terminals pa rin, at saka 2-way, mga $300 to $350.
Anong airline yan?
Cebu Pac.
Kasi Cebu Pac. Oo.
Okay. Okay, so i-play ko na ba yung next video?
Sige, sir. Go ahead. Sorry sa advertisement.
Hindi, seriously, ako eh. Gusto ko marami, yung pag umakit ako ng bundok, yung mga gamit namin galing Vietnam.
True.
Hindi made in China. So galing
Actually,
Vietnam.
maganda talaga, sir. Yung quality sa Vietnam, walang biro. Super ganda, super ganda talaga ng quality ng Vietnam.
Matibay, hindi katulad ng
Yes.
China.
Yes, true. Kahit na locally made siya.
Saka yung damit, diba? Marami din dyan.
Pero ang Thailand, mas maganda ang Thailand kung damit-damit lang.
Sa bagay.
Pero
Damit
kung
yung
sa mga
silk ba?
Oo, kung sa mga bags, tsaka shoes,
Vietnam. Kasi lahat kami dito nagagawa kami ng Vietnam kasi madalang. Dahil nga madalang. Kasi yung mga gawa ng US, North Face, basta North Face, mamahalin. Nasa 15-20 mil. Backpack lang yun.
True.
So, yeah, masyadong
mababili
mahal.
mo lang yun sa Vietnam ng 1,500 to 3,000. Pero same quality.
Matapos ng pandemic, intayin mo kami dyan.
Pag natapos, bala ko puntahan yung Mount Fansipan sa
sa
Vietnam.
Sapa, oo.
Yun. Okay, play
Ganda
na
yun,
natin.
nagsusnow doon.
May snow pala dyan?
North Vietnam for 4 seasons.
Mahaba yung Vietnam kasi.
Malaki ba siya than the Philippines?
Hindi ko alam sa ano. Parang mas maliit siya yata.
Mas malaki yung landmass. Mas malaki yung landmass. Pero yung area kasi pahaba na ganun.
Yung north na kasi, sa geography tayo, nung north ng Vietnam kasi.
Kadikit na ng China
north ng Vietnam kasi.
I see.
Oo, yung north ng Vietnam kasi, yon parang ang boundary noon, boundary din ng China. Kaya, kaya.
Mga dating sakop ng China.
True.
Okay.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
Masarap talaga magkwentuhan. Nasaan ba yung beer dito?
Oo nga, next time. Hindi na tubig.
Oral language development. The stages of oral development in young children. What do we mean when we say oral development? Oral development refers to the way children learn to express themselves fluently by speaking. Just like teachers help children progress when they learn to read or write, children develop the ability to speak well when they are stimulated and supported in their explorations with oral language. Milestones in oral language development. Age in 3 months. Makes cooing sounds. 11 months. Uses multiple syllable babbling. Mama, baba, dada. At 16 months, uses some words besides mama and dada. 23 months. Can form 2-word sentences. 34 months. Uses prepositions, carries on a conversation. 47 months. Can be understood by strangers most of the time. The 3 P's of teacher qualities that promote oral language learning. Playful. Enjoying talking, reading, and writing with children. Planful. Thinking ahead to meet children's oral needs.
Pang-teacher na to.
Purposeful. Interacting with children to accomplish important language goals. Planful. Consider what the children already know and can do. Take steps to further the student's oral language development. Purposeful. Set clear learning goals for students and deliberately engage them in activities that develop them to explore and use language. Playful. Adults' playful language interactions and exchanges appeal to children, encouraging them to use new words and exercise their oral language skills in different situations. Some teaching strategies that promote oral language, storytelling, songs, shared writing, show and tell, rhymes, finger plays, shared reading, guided play, speaking and listening, reading and writing, join together in oral language comprehension, vocabulary, alphabet knowledge, phonological awareness, print knowledge. Early learning educators help children learn speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills when they are planful, purposeful, and playful in providing everyday conversations, instruction, guided participation, language scaffolds, plenty of practice. Going from speakers and listeners to readers and writers. Before children can read and write, they learn to talk and listen. To move from speaking and listening to being able to read and write requires an intellectual shift in the way children think. They must understand there is a code to be deciphered and that it is different than speech. Reading is more than understanding speech written down. Talk and print are alike. Talking, reading, and writing are all alike. They all require using words to stand for objects, people, and ideas. They are all interrelated. Children listen to a teacher reading out loud. They read what is written down. The four join together to build children's knowledge about the world and words. When they are learning to read, children rely on their experiences with speech to help them with their print experiences. Talk and print are different. Learning to read is harder than learning to talk. Print is a code that relies on the manipulation of 26 symbols, the alphabet, and children must learn to decode print first before they can say it. Adults need to help children realize the relationship between print symbols and speech sounds and help them make the effort to remember it. Print does not have the real-time qualities of tone, pitch, expression, and rhythm. There are sensory clues to tell the child what the words mean. Speaking, listening, reading, and writing share skills. Making predictions, asking and answering, telling and retelling, sense of a story, phonological awareness.
Ay, natapos na. Naisip kong video, ano?
So do you ever wonder why you can understand a lot of English but not communicate fluently? Well, I recently got this comment on a YouTube video from someone named Yayo. I don't understand why I can't speak or write like you, but I can understand almost every person who speaks like you in English. When I try to speak or write in English, my words disappear in my mind. What's the problem with my mind, teacher? I look for words during conversations. If you have this problem, it's not your fault. I truly believe that anyone can become a fluent speaker of English, but that traditional schools make communication very difficult. The real problem is that traditional lessons put extra steps between you and the English you want to learn. Steps like rule memorization, confusing explanations, and translations. So when you try to speak, you must reverse these steps, making you lose your words, think, and translate in conversations. Now, there actually is a very simple solution to this common problem. But before I share it,
Okay, commercial na yung kasunod. So, yun lang. Comment po tayo. Bago mapunta ulit sa backpack.
May advertisement si Mamay. Sino yun?
Sorry po.
Nakita ko konti.
Friend ko po.
Ayun.
Go ahead po.
Parang niloloko ka.
Yeah, that's a role in my life.
Good evening po. Hello!
Hindi ko nakita. Saglit lang. Dali na.
Hello, good
Hindi ko
evening.
Ay, ayun.
Off yung camera niya.
Hello. Hindi ko nakita yung commercial eh.
Sorry. Sorry po. Go ahead po. Kung sino man po yung may comment.
Nakamute ka.
Nakamute.
Sorry. Yung relationship between oral language and reading, talaga palang sobrang importante siya. So, I cannot stress this enough na sana yung mga parents, they do something about the speech delays of their children. Na, yun nga, sinabi ko na rin dati, sobrang nagiging prevalent niya ngayon dahil sa iba may question dati si Princess saka si our other groupmate na hindi na rin nag-a-attend.
Si
Ma'am
kalimutan ko.
Myra. Ma'am Myra. Oo, yung concern nila.
Bakit nga ba nalagas tayo anyari sa kanila?
Parang hindi siguro nila maisingit yung Tsaka
Yeah.
sir, siguro din sila kampante kasi November pa yung nila.
Parang
malayo pa naman saka na ako mag-aaral.
Ayaw ko nang ganun sir kasi alam ko yung
correct, yeah.
Sige, tuloy lang tayo.
So anyway, ayun, sana mas maraming makaalam nito, mas spread natin yung word na there is a very big correlation between oral language and ayan na si
Princess.
Princess Lyra.
Sorry.
Okay, dyan po nagtatapos ang ating presentation.
Naku, baka maano naman si Princess.
Joke lang.
Hi, Princess. Good evening.
Niloloko ka ni Sir John.
Hello po.
Hi, hello.
Saan mo naman yung camera mo? Ano ba yan?
Kamahiya, ito lang naman yung mga mukha namin makikita sa YouTube ni sa YouTube.
Wala rin kaming mga make-up.
Bagong gising pa nga. Ito yung mga mukha makikita sa YouTube ni ni Sir John.
Oo nga.
Sige, go na yon. Ano pa nga yon yung yung oral processes?
Oral language is masasabi ba nating prerequisite to reading and building reading skills?
Yeah.
Ano lang naman very simple lang. We go back to basics. Talk to children. Spend less time with your gadgets kasi nakakalimutan na talaga natin sobrang nakakaaliw mag-gadget. So, minsan katabi mo na yung bata, hindi mo pa kinakausap.
Oo.
So, it's as simple as that.
True yan. Yun yung nangyayari dito sa yung mother ng bata dito.
Maraming guilty
Papansin
dyan.
ko.
Maraming guilty.
Mas mura kasi na bumili ka ng gadget na tablet or phablet, ibigay mo sa bata kaysa kumuha ka ng nanny na mag-aalaga. Kasi
True,
pag may tablet na yung bata, nakayuko na lang yan, tapos kung pindot na lang ng pindot. Napapansin ko nowadays.
Very convenient, Convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. Nung kapanahonan ko, merong cellphone, pero ang laki, ganito. Yung may Motolite pa yata yung nun.
Motorola, tsaka
Motorola at saka yung
Motolite, ka ba? Battery yun yung car?
Hindi, seriously, malaki yung ganito, sinlaki ng
Correct.
tawag doon. Parang Betamax, ganun kalaki seriously. So wala kang mapaglalaroan nung kapanahonan ko. Tapes and CDs nung panahon mahal yun So anyway. Ayun. Ito yung sinabi ko dati nung parang last week pa yata, last week na yung naiintindihan ko lahat yung sinasabi pero hindi ako makapagsalita. Ito yun. Ako rin pala makakakita ng lesson na yun. Malain mo yun. So,
Anong point niya ulit? Dapat hindi na, paano yung grammar? Mali daw yung, how do we reverse the process? Kung sinasabi niya, kasi inuunahan tayo ng grammar, ng rules.
oh.
So,
Ano kasi siya? Kasi pag tinuloy ko yun, commercial na yun eh. Nagpo-promote siya ng kanyang business eh. Oo.
Okay.
So, ayun nga, yung sa isiningit ko lang yun kasi nga yung dito, yung oral language development. Parang yung ipinakita natin na tali nung isang araw. Kailan ba
Yung
yun?
strands.
Yung strands na yun.
Ng reading. Oo.
Yung pag nagla-learn ka ng kahit anong language, marami siyang strand na para pag sama-samahin mo, hindi lang yung nangyari kasi sa akin, naiwan yung oral.
Oo. I think for most of us.
So, ang nangyari, naintindihan ko, kaya kong makinig, kaya kong magsulat, tapos kaya kong magbasa. Pagdating doon sa pananalita, kamote ako.
Oo.
So, yeah. Ayun.
So, parang talaga, practice.
Practice.
Yan lang talaga.
Exposure talaga, exposure.
Tsaka yung may makakausap ka kasi iba yung pinapractice mo lang mag-isa.
True.
Kasi yung may kaharapan ka na ideally, yung talagang proficient na para
Yes.
yung back and forth nyo,
Yes.
yung back and forth nyo, yung ikaw yung madadala niya, di ba?
True.
Oo.
Actually, that's true kasi pag kinakausap ko yung mga estudyante ko na low yung level yung English nila, napapabayabas kasi yung sa amin, bayabas sa English din ako. But then kung yung kausap ko is native speakers, parang nani-native speaker na din yung yung
Nagle-level up ka.
Kasi hindi ka nila intindihan eh. So hindi hindi nila naintindihan ikaw naman mag-a-adjust para maintindihan. Parang
that's true.
Gusto mo
Approach
makipag-communicate.
sa mga estudyante. Kaya minsan nakakalimutan minsan nung nasa language school pa ako for adults, sinasabing na teacher, you speak English too fast, sasabihin nila. So, ginagawa
Pero hindi
ko,
naman.
feeling ko, normal, ganito lang naman ako mag-English kahit kahit din sa native English speaker na palagi kong kausap. So, binababa ko yung level. Pero yung pag native speaker na ang kausap ko, tas minsan nasasabi ko, ay, Sam, I can't think in English. Speaking English is very difficult. Sinasabi ko sa kanya. Tas sinasabi niya, really? It doesn't seem so. You're as fluent as me. Sasabihin niya sa akin na ganon. But then sabi ko, no, it's really hard. The vocabularies, I cannot express myself, my ideas completely. Ganon ako. But it's, yung, niya.
Pag bigla ka nagsalita kasi tamo, tuloy-tuloy ka nag-English, di ba? Oo. Pag biglaan, kompleto eh.
Oo, tapos sinasabi ko sa kanya, sabi niya, it doesn't seem so easy. Sabi ko, no, the vocabulary, I cannot really think of what is, ganon ako sa kanya. Sabi niya, kasi ang kausap mo pala yung mga ganon, hindi din nila naiisip na nahihirapan ka kasi nga tuloy-tuloy, 'di ba?
Yeah,
so hindi nila pero ikaw
Dumudugo na yung ilong.
hirap na.
Correct, oo. I
So,
get
parang
that.
gano'n. So tayo lang pala yung naglilimit sa sarili natin na hindi ko kaya to kasi ang nakikita nila is iba din pala, iba pala yung talaga yung nakikita nila sa feeling lang natin na hindi pala natin kaya yung gano'n. So, yun yung sharing ko.
Saka I think yung yung tongue natin, kapag yun nga, it's a muscle that needs practice. Kaya yung mga ibang sounds na, yun nga, P and F, V and B, so, more na nagpo-pronounce ka ng mga words na gano'n. Parang yung dida mo, natatrain mo na rin.
No.
Kaya yung mga slips mo, na lang, hindi na gano'n ka kadalas.
Actually, commended ko yung teacher ko, patay na yun sa yung grade 1 ko na teacher. Oo, kasi auntie ko
Mamaya
yun.
dadalawin ka nun.
Commended ko yun
Joke
kasi Kasi yung alam mo yung before kami lumalabas ng grade 1 kami noon ha, grade 1. Before kami lumalabas nung classroom, pinapabasa niya kami. Meron kayo nung chart, yung kalendaryo na ginaganon-ganon, yung
Parang, kartolina,
yeah,
parang Manila paper.
cat, rat, bat, yung
I
mga
remember.
ganon. Tapos papabasahin ka ng mga 2 page, tapos sige, labas ka na, pwede ka na. So
Oo.
before every afternoon yun. Tapos yun ding siguro buhay pa yung ng teacher din ng ko ng tawag ito kapatid ko kasi ako that time hindi, nag-stop ako ng first year high school. So ako yung bantay niya doon sa school niya. So ang ginagawa ng teacher nila, pag break time, tapos may mga nanay doon na nasa labas, pinapapasok kami, tapos sinasabihan niya kami na, read niyo ang mga bata sa chart. The same chart na ginagawa nung grade 1 na teacher ko. Kasi yun nga yung sabi na practice. Di ba yung ganun, pat, bat, rat. Yung phonetic, yung practice ng phonetic yun na na sound. Tapos meron din yung mga sa consonant. Depende yun sa may mga minimal pairs na
Correct.
na
Oo.
ginaano nung
Natandaan mo pa? Oo, tama. Minimal pair.
Oo, natatandaan ko yun kasi pag hindi kami marunong bumasa, ang haba-haba ng stick niya, ganun, no. Tapos, pag hindi kami marunong bumasa, syempre, ang haba nun, di ba, lulugitin yung tagiliran mo. Oo, ganun.
Child abuse na yun.
Kukurutin. Kukurutin.
Ginaganon
Okay.
nila ang stick, ginaganon sa tiyan mo, tapos ginaganon niya.
Sa amin, tenga kasi. Tenga yung sa amin.
Hindi sa kanya kasi mahaba yung stick niya, yun yung pang-point niya sa word. Pag hindi ka marunong basa nun, gaganon yung tiyan mo, gaganon din.
Ano na talaga, no? Ngayon hindi na pwede yan kasi tatawag ka na nila sa bangkay bata.
True. Pero ang point nun is yung repetition ba? Yung repetition of doing something, yung exercise your tongue, ganun.
Correct. Mm-mm.
Pero naalala ko nung bata ako, hirap na hirap talaga ako. Sabi ko, 150. 150. Papahiya ako eh.
Oo.
Ayun, maganda yung foundation ko naman sa English dahil dun sa teacher ko na yun. 2 beses ko siya naging teacher, grade 1 tsaka grade 4.
Oo.
Ayun, si Princess naman. Princess? Hello? Miss Princess?
Mahiyain
Hello?
pa siya.
Mahiyain. Wala kasi si Prince Charming dito eh. Anyway,
Hello po. Sorry po,
Hi.
hindi po ako maka-attend the last few days kasi po I'm not feeling well. Sabi ko po kay Miss Eden.
Oo nga.
Okay.
Attend ka lang, kahit makinig ka lang, okay na yun.
oo. Makinig ka lang, okay lang. Kahit makinig ka, tapos lahat ng tanong sa'yo, okay lang din yun.
Go,
Hindi,
Sir
joke lang.
John.
Para tumawa ka naman kahit konti. Oo. Kasi anyway, yung ano ba tawag dito, yung oral development, paano ba? Nanonood ba kayo ng mga komedyante? Medyo iliis ko ng konti, kasi mahilig ako sa mga komedyante tulad nila Rex Navarrete,
Jokoy.
mga Jokoy, ayun, si Jokoy. Kadalasan ng mga joke nila, Philippinism o yung mga Philippine accent.
Yes.
Kaya yung mga Pinoy
Oy, si
natatawa
Mike
kasi
Bustos, panoorin mo yung mga songs ni Mike Bustos. May mga songs niya na mga ganon.
ayun, Mike Bustos. Tapos ano ba tawag dito? Nakalimutan ko tuloy ikaw kasi.
Yung words, Philippinism.
Philippinism, yung mga words ni pag ang Pilipino kasi tumawa, tinatawa natin yung joke nila kasi parang napapahiya tayo, parang we are found out. Tapos yung mga Amerikano naman, yung mga may kaibigang Pinoy, natatawa sila kasi nare-realize sila, ay oo nga no, di ba? Parang yun. So, pagdating sa oral language, parang yung na-discuss natin before na kailangan talaga yung exposure at saka yung gamitin mo siya ng paulit-ulit. Otherwise, it will not develop katulad nung nangyari sa akin. Nag-develop lang nung nagkaroon ako ng first and only time na foreign teacher, yung negro. Kaya ang nangyari sa akin, pag nagsasalita ako, parang negro. Parang ain't, yung mga ganon. You ain't nothing, mga ganon. So,
Ako naman, ang first
yeah.
exposure ko din, sir, yung pinsan ko na from Australia. Kaya gustong-gusto ko yung British accent. Akala ko British accent siya. Australian accent pala siya. Kaya medyo, yung accent ko dati nung bata ako, yun nga, close to British or Australian. Kasi yun din yung exposure ko din, mga ganun.
Ba't tumatawa si Miss Maika? Ano po ang nakakatawa? I-share mo naman. Baka may kilala kang komedyante na hindi ko alam.
Nag-order po kasi kami ng McDonald's right now.
Ay, naka-open.
Wow!
Na-excite siya.
Naka-open dyan? Naka-open?
Ano po? Yes po. Open ang restaurants dito.
Bakit ganon? Sa
It's
amin wala.
unfair.
Oo.
Unfair. Unfair.
Sorry po.
Pwede ba ipa-deliver yan dito?
I'll try.
Ito rin.
Virtual sharing.
Nakakita na ako ng McDonald's na burger at isang buong set. 10 years, 20 years, buo pa rin. Hindi inamag, hindi nabulok. Seriously. Yeah. Anyway.
Nakita ko din.
Anyway, nalilis na naman ang ating landas.
Last, ano muna, sir? Last theory muna.
Last theory na is psychosocial. So, punta na tayo sa psychosocial. Nabubulol na ako. Ano ba yan? Paano ba to ibalik? Ayun. Ay, okay naman ba yung accent ko? Hindi ba ako OA?
Hindi kaya.
Walang feedback. Yung mga student ko, puro feedback eh.
Ayun nga sir, pwedeng pang voice over talent.
Voice over talent.
Yes.
Ayun.
Psychosocial process.
May naririnig ba kayo?
Means mind, mental.
Mas malakas yung background music dito kaysa sa iba. Oo, mas malakas yung background music niya kaysa sa iba.
Okay, sablay. I-mute ko na lang
Sige, tas i-ano mo na lang.
Oo.
Ikaw na lang basa.
Basahin ko na lang. Hindi, ito yung minamadali ko kanina eh. Psychosocial. So, psycho means mind, mental. And then, social means interaction of people. Kaya meron tayong social media. So, personality theories and reading theories. So, Erikson's theory of psychosocial development, he hypothesized that people pass through 8 psychosocial stages in their lifetimes. Ito si Erikson. Okay. Ang kanyang pangalan ay kanya ring apelyido.
Encarta, ang tagalan ng Encarta.
Oo.
Encyclopedia.
Ano ba yan? Wag na nga. Ito na lang. Nasaan na yung PowerPoint? Nakakainis eh. Sabi ko na, something is different eh. Nakikita niyo ba yung PowerPoint? Ay, hindi pala ako nakashare.
Yeah.
Balik kanina nung nagsisimula tayong sa meeting, habang nagkukwentuhan tayo, ina-upload ko siya at the same time. So, ayun. So, ayan, Encarta Encyclopedia, may kalumaan na. What is it? It explains 8 stages that a healthy human should pass through during childhood all the way through adulthood. In each stage, a person should find new challenges and hopefully succeed through them. So, ayan, parang hagdanan, isa-isa. Achieving autonomy. So, 18 months to 3 years old. Autonomy versus doubt. Erikson suggests that even while giving a hand, parents should permit children at this level to explore freely and do things for themselves. So ito yung parang ZPD. Yan. Yung Zone of Proximal Development. Ayun. So kahit pa paano dapat pabayaan yung bata para yung mga naituro mo na before, kaya niyang gawin mag-isa. Ganun. So early childhood stories that deal with relationships between parent and child. So developing initiative, 3 to 6 years. Initiative versus guilt. Children ask many questions and begin to understand things which had previously been mysteries to them. So when I was a kid, around 5 or 6 years old, I asked my mom, "Where do babies come from?" Yeah, do you guys remember asking your parents about that? Yeah, I
Nope.
still remember. I still remember. And mom told me that uh, just find a bed and then fold the blankets, make a mess of the bed, and then tomorrow morning there's a baby. So I
That's the
actually
first
believe
time.
that. So I thought, hey, I could do that. So anyway, developing initiative, 3 to 6 years old. Tapos na pala to. Middle childhood, fiction in which characters experience conflict when their actions oppose those of others. Okay. Huh? Nasaan na? Becoming industrious, 6 to 12 years old. Industry versus inferiority. They frequently engage in activities that allow them to practice skills required by their culture. Okay, so I remember yung pagmamano, tapos pagkatok, yeah, knocking, and removing your slippers. Okay. Late childhood. Books that pose situations in which children strive to be as successful as their peers. Biographies of people who succeeded. Realistic fiction about people who overcame hardships. Establishing identity. So 12 to 18 years. Identity versus role confusion. Adolescents grapple with the question of who they will become as well as the questions of who they are. So when I was in studying university years, I was confused. Am I supposed to be an engineer? Am I supposed to be a programmer? Because when I was in high school, I attended pre-engineering high school, and then university, I took computer science, and that's how I became a teacher. Awesome, right? So adolescence, realistic fiction about teenagers searching for identity, where the characters' fears and joys are evident throughout as they strive to discover themselves and to experience success. Okay, self concept theory. What you think of yourself is your self concept. Family, peers, and teachers play a significant role in the formation of a child's concept. Factors such as the mother's use of library, reading materials in the home, and the father's occupational level affect the child's concept as a reader and towards reading. Okay. And according to self concept theory, children with feelings of adequacy, self confidence, and self reliance tend to be good readers. Harris, 1980, suggests that painful emotional events during early efforts at reading may turn the young learner against reading. Okay, I personally experienced the last part. I told you guys about it, right? What is that? Merchant of Venice. So after reading that, I'm no longer reading literature. So I still
Backward.
read, but not that, not Shakespeare. Canfield's poker chip theory. A child with a positive self concept is like a poker player with plenty of chips, like a child with negative, while a child with negative self concept has very few chips, if at all. So ayaw sumugal, ayaw mapahiya. Iyon. So, balik na tayo. Sharing. Oh, walang nag-comment.
Wait lang.
May I, sir?
Yes, please.
Dun po sa industry versus inferiority, yung understanding ko po dun is ito yung stage when children understand ano yung expectations of them of society. So
Mhm.
dito na nila naiintindihan how to work hard, and then when you work hard and then you perform well, you are usually rewarded by
Yeah.
society. So dun din nanggagaling yung inferiority because you either thrive or you fail.
Yeah. That's what I fear.
Yeah, so
Yun.
I'm sorry, anong age po ulit yung industry versus inferiority?
Teka lang, i-share ko yung yung picture para makita lahat natin.
Okay.
Kasi hindi ko rin siya maalala lahat. Ayan. So, here, ay, walang age. Ano nga ba yung tanong mo? Anong age yung?
Industry versus inferiority.
Industry versus inferiority. Hanapin
Ayan.
natin.
Ayan. Ayan. Ay, baba, sir.
Baba.
Oh. Ayan.
Ayan. Okay, 6 to 12 years old. Okay. So, elementary. Yeah. So they frequently engage in activities that allow them to practice skills required by their culture.
I
Wala
think
akong
so, sir, dito na yung yung 'di ba, if turuan mo yung child na maging competitive, dito yun, itong
Ito ba
stage
yun?
na yun, na I think pag na ito yung ito yung stage na to ang hindi talaga na develop sa amin ni magkakapatid, na we don't need to compete because parang walang wala kaming like 'di ba yung sa reward yung reward na fury, yung parang gano'n. Kasi yung mama ko, yung parang kung ano lang yung
Kaya.
kaya nyo, sige, yun na yun. Pero siguro pag ito dito, 'di ba? Kasi yung mga bata dito ngayon sa Vietnam, mga Filipino kids, they are always always very particular with achievement. So yung mga anak nila, ganun din yung nila na I have to achieve something kasi pag meron akong maibigay sa kanila, parang may reward din akong matatanggap. Yung parang ganun na na mindset.
May kasi nung ako, elementary, inamin ko na, 'di ba? I really hated English. So, during that time, ayokong pag-aralan yung English. I really hate it. So, my mom thought of a way to reward me. Nung panahon na yun, uso yung brick game. Diba? So, hindi ko alam na mura yun. 100 lang pala yun. So, gustong-gusto kong magkaroon. Hindi ko alam kung saan ako bibili. At saka, yung baon ko kasi 2 piso lang kada araw. So, it's 100. Medyo hindi kaya ng budget, no? So, my mom promised that if I study, bibigyan niya ako. Ayun. Meron akong brick game sa bahay. So,
may incentive.
Yes, merong incentive. Tapos, meron pa yung isang action figure. Gusto ko si Brave Star. Hindi ko alam kung kilala niyo si Brave Star. Isa siyang sheriff ng Kalawakan. Parang si Shider. Pero American. Cowboy ng Kalawakan. Pero ang nangyari, dahil yata yung 600 si Brave Star, ang binili lang nanay ko yung kontrabida, yung kalaban. So, 150 lang kasi. So, ayun. Sige na nga, okay lang. At least meron akong laruan. Meron akong my very first action figure. 6 inches, malaki din. So, ayun. Okay naman na mag-share.
Yun siguro yun yung 6 to 12 years na na stage natin, no. Industry.
Elementary ako nung nabigyan ako ng ganun. So, parang after that, naging masigasig na akong mag-aral. Hindi talaga yung English I really don't know. Pagdating nung high school, nagustuhan ko lang yung English kasi magaling yung yung teacher ko nung high school. She gave us quote unquote a menu. So may mga poster siya. So kasama na rin yung Merchant of Venice, yung Dracula, Scarlet Letter. Ang dami. I think napuno yung buong blackboard. Blackboard, walang whiteboard nung sa school namin low tech. Pero doon ako nagsimulang, I'm interested because of this. Kasi nga yung mga pocketbook. Maliban pa yung mga panonood ko ng mga English TV shows and cartoons. So, it became my own incentive for myself to study. So, parang, this feels good. I enjoy this better. Instead of studying, I'll just watch TV. May side effect lang kasi kinakausap ko yung TV para akong baliw. So, ayun. Ano pa yung idadagdag natin? Meron
Ano
pang iba
yung
dito.
ang ano yung intindi mo sa inferiority? Kasi ang ano ko, industry versus, ano yun, Maika? Ano nga yung sinabi mo kanina? Yung sa inferiority, ito ba din yung ma-develop yung
Um, Yung sa inferiority po, parang siya yung opposite effect. So, for example, dun sa industry, as you said, dito na natututi yung kids ng competition and then seeking approval from others. So when kids try to develop or when they try to become better at something, they could either actually get better at it or they could fail. So kapag when they get better at it, dun na de-develop yung sense of industry. Pero if they feel like they're failing dun sa eyes of society or kung ano man yung measure of being good
Success.
at that specific field, dun sila nakaka-feel ng inferiority.
So ito siguro din yung mga ano, no, alam mo yung mga bata na pag sinasabihang bobo-bobo mo. Tapos syempre sabi mo nga kanina sa yung takot magkamali na ba. So hindi
Oo.
na lang nila gagawin.
Exactly.
So this is a very crucial stage talaga, no, when you have to encourage 6 to 12. I have to take note of that. 6 to 12. You have to yung parang positive lang siya, no, yung parang
Positive reinforcement.
Oo,
Discipline.
positive reinforcement ang gagawin mo sa bata na at this at this age kasi very crucial siya talaga sa confidence, yung self-esteem ng bata.
Yeah.
Dito pala siya magiging strong.
Yeah, tapos
Right.
parang meron din po siyang connection with self-concept theory. Kasi napansin ko po, like yung mga students ko na usually yung mga 6 to 10-year-olds na mga students ko, sila yung kapag merong mahirap na task, they suddenly become quiet or pakonti-konti na lang yung sinasagot nila. Kasi aware na sila dun sa difficulties na meron sila. Tapos, they feel like na-experience na nila na mabully or to be looked down on dahil wala sila nung skills na yon. So, even with people na they could actually trust in the beginning, makikita mo yon na nagwi-withdraw sila kapag sabihan mo pa lang yung kid na, we're gonna read today, ha? Marinig pa lang nila yung, okay, we're gonna read today. Makikita mo na parang sinasuck yung energy out of them. Nagpo na sila, tapos they look very sad. Tapos kaya talaga you really have to find ways to encourage them and to be very careful na hindi mo matamaan yung self-esteem nila. Oo. Because otherwise, dahil doon sa pag-withdraw nila, they're not gonna be very willing to cooperate or to learn.
Yes.
Oo.
So dito na part, no, dito na stage, no. Buti na lang yung nung very ambitious ako, siguro mga 13 years old, first year high school ako noon. Tapos sinasabihan ko, kasi 'di ba mahilig na talaga akong magbasa, sinasabi ko sa mga auntie ko na sa other side naman, kasi yung mahilig ako na magbasa dito yung sa father side na bahay. Tapos nung first year high school ako, lumipat na ako doon sa place ng mama ko. So ang mga nakahalubilo ko sa mother side naman. So one time sinabi ko parang I will be a great author someday, sabi ko. Tapos sinabihan ako ng tita ko. So mga 30 na ako noon, sinabihan ako ng tita ko, huwag kang mangarap ng mataas kasi mataas din yung kalalagpakan mo. Siguro kung mangyari, kung nangyari yun sa 6 to 12 years old ako, parang hindi na siguro talaga ako ambitious. Buti na lang, nandito na ako sa identity versus role confusion that time. So sinabi ko, panindigan to talaga ang sinabi ko, magiging successful ako.
Nakarinig na ako ng ganon.
Oo.
Diba? Yung mga ganon na mga So buti na lang talaga na hindi sa 6 to 12 years nangyari yun.
Oo, kaya crucial talaga yung adults around a child, no? Yung
Ay,
Yeah.
oo, totoo yan.
yung
Oo.
kanilang
Nanggigigil ako
attitude.
mag-share tuloy. Oh.
Sinabi mo kasi kanina, Ria, di ba, na it's what you do, not what you say.
Yeah. Even kahit kamag-anak mo sila, even ako sa parents ko and my children, they have their ways. I have my own ways of disciplining my children. Pero hindi na maintindihan yun na ano pa rin sila sa old ways na pag magagalit sila, kailangan talagang yung taas boses. Yung mga hindi mo naman dapat sasabihin, pero nasasabi mo kasi nandun ka sa heat of anger. So, yun yung what I'm trying to get away from. Kasi I know na, syempre yung mga scars mo ng childhood, dala mo yan hanggang pagtanda mo Yung mga hindi mo nare-resolve na issues. So,
unfortunately.
yeah. So, knowing that now,
Kailangan ko talaga ng beer. Ano ba yan?
nagiging na ba?
Hated na.
Iinom tapos mamaya umiiyak na. Sabi ko nga ba Lalabas sa sama ng loob sa
So, ayun, it matters yung nakapalibot na adults dun sa bata. Kasi it can either make or break the child's spirit Pag na-break mo yung spirit ng bata, ang hirap nang ibalik. Oo. So, may isa lang na maniwala dun sa bata na yon. Ang daming possibilities na mag-open.
That's true, yes, actually. Meron akong sharing dyan, hindi ko to story sorry yun yung native speaker na palagi kong kausap. So sinasabi niya,
bakit ba palagi mong kausap? Meron ba kayong relationship?
Wala lang.
Umamin. Umamin.
Huwag mo akong pakiligin, sir.
Meron nga.
Hindi, kasi sinasabi niya, math teacher kasi siya, tapos syempre, marami ang si Sir, kinikilig mo rin, marami kasi nag-share ako. Naalala ko lang kasi sabi ni Ria, pag may isang bata lang may isang tao lang na, parang naniwala sa kanya. Kasi nung yung batang yun, syempre math, dilemma natin lahat yun, di ba? Ewan ko lang kung sinong magaling sa math dyan. Pero, sabi niya, yung bata, may takot na siya ba when it comes to math. Tapos, yun na nakita nga yun nakita niya. Tapos, parang tinuruan niya ng easy ways. Tapos, very patient kasi siya na tao. So, sabi niya, I don't want to give up on this child kasi I will be yung parang fail siya pag hindi niya natulungan yung bata intindihin yung lesson niya. Yun yung principle niya pag as a teacher. Tapos yun nga actually that story na publish yun sa tawag nito sa yung newspaper ng school. Tapos, wala na siya doon, kasi Uzbekistan yun lumipat na siya ng Malaysia, tapos pinadala sa kanya nung co-teacher niya, yung story nung bata. Kasi, yung bata na yun, naging tawag nito, achiever siya sa math. Actually, yes, that's true. Tsaka, lang yan, tinuruan yun 6 months niya lang tinuruan yun. From the very yung parang hindi umiimik pag nagkaklase sila, hanggang sa naging achiever siya sa school nila. That's how yung parang, yung self-esteem ng bata ba, pinuno mo yun. So, parang naging belief ng bata sa sarili niya sa ganung paraan. So, crucial yung pagiging teacher ng grade, parang ganun. Yung naalala ko lang, sabi niya.
Ala. Ako naman na. Now it's my turn.
Sige, go na. Kating-kati ka na
Kating-kati na ako So, yung sa akin naman, umuwi ako when I was a kid, umuwi ako parang every 5 years. So, nung umuwi ako, when I was still in university, sinabihan ako ng aking mga kamag-anak, bakit mo hinahabol ang isang pirasong papel?
You mean education?
Yes. So, yung diploma. So, for them kasi, para mabuhay ka, magtanim ka, alagaan mo. Pag
Wow.
lumaki, anihin, ibenta.
Mhm.
So for them, it's common sense.
Mhm.
So my mom disagreed na siya yung nag-iisang nagpumilit na mag-aral. So parang maalaala mo kaya ito eh. So ganun nga, pinagpilitan na nanay ko na makapag-aral siya. So nakagraduate siya. Nung ako na, ipinagpipilitan niya akong makatapos. So nakatapos din naman ako. Tapos nung college, yun nga yung negro, para siyang si Mike Enriquez. Oo. Hindi niya ako tinantanan. So, no. Akala ko kasi parang inaaway ako. Yun ang pagkakaintindi ko. Pero na-realize ko, paulit-ulit niya akong tinatanong, kinukulit ako. Kasi ako, yung 150, ganun ako magsalita. So, paulit-ulit niya akong tinatawag, ako yung recitation, ako yung taga-present. So, na-realize ko na, parang naging training ko yun. Looking back, parang, okay, mas naging okay ako doon. Parang, well, I'm not saying na this is success yung pinalalagyan ko ngayon. Pero, kung hindi dahil sa mga nangyaring yun nung kabataan ko, siguro ngayon hindi ako nag-i-English. Siguro ngayon hindi ako nagtuturo ng STEAM. Kumbaga yung, alam mo yun, baka driver lang ako ngayon or something. Wala namang masama sa pagiging driver. Natanggal nga ako bilang driver. Hindi daw ako marunong. So, ayun lang. No, seriously. Tinanggal ako bilang driver. So, okay lang. That was like, what? 20 years ago na. So, okay lang. Okay. So, wala na po tayo. Naka-apat na. Di ba may isa pang, may nag-iisa.
Sa tatlo yun, sir, sa akin. Ito, i-share ko, ha?
Okay. Disconnect na ako, ha?
Sige.
Okay.
A window lang. Share a window. Sana yun.
Share a tab. Present a tab.
Ayan. Ito, tatlo kasi siya, sir, factors in reading. So, ayun. Pero actually, lang to, very, very quick. Gusto niyo ng daanan ngayon?
Guys, gusto niyo? Isa't kalahating oras na tayo. Gusto niyo ba? No. Gusto niyo ba?
Maybe next time?
Sige. Kasi parang matapos na naman tayo. In 2 weeks, actually, makakover na natin yun. Kasi after nito, 202, di ba? 203 tsaka 207 na lang. Kasi yung instructional materials kasi parang 203 yata yun. Tapos 207 assessment.
Readability pala to. Okay. Mabilis nga lang to.
Mabilis siya kasi yung text structure at saka organization. 2 types of text, 'di ba? Saan na yung ko?
O di next time na lang. Kasi pag ginawa yan ngayon, anong gagawin natin next time?
Tsaka din para ma-take in din muna natin yung 4 na na theory.
And I don't think we need to hurry kasi mukhang wala na ang cost.
Yeah, that's true. So kailangan na lang muna nating namnamin na muna yung mga natutunan natin today.
Mukhang sabay-sabay na rin tayo ang mangyayari.
Pero don't lose hope kasi sabi naman nung friend ko 5 days nila na-receive yung email bago ang
Ako may na-receive akong email ngayon lang.
Anong sabi?
Sir, kindly expect more additional days for the processing of blah blah blah. Puro additional days, tapos skeletal force lang sila. Tapos merong additional na 2 weeks or additional working days.
Wow, for the papers.
Yeah, kasi nga daw pandemic. So, maraming delays kumbaga. This is the same person na nag-ano sa akin 3 months ago. So, at least nag-reply. So
3 months ago, wow.
Yeah.
Pero how about the new calendar na pinapakita ni
Fankis?
Fankis, oo.
Nakalagay NA.
So, what does that mean?
Not available. Ay, not applicable.
Tama ba? I don't know kung ano nga ibig nila sabihin dun eh. Not applicable na?
NA. Parang not yet available yata. Parang wala pang
TBA na lang sana ang nila.
Ayun, not available, not applicable. Oo.
Not available.
Yeah. So, ibig sabihin yung dating petsa na pinakita ni Miss Eden, tinanggal na yung petsa na yun. Hindi na yun.
So, pangatlong change na to kasi ang originally sa is 27, June 27 eh.
Yeah.
Tapos ito ngang revised ng sinend ko sa'yo. So, yung kay Maika, Ano na, ay Aika. Ano na yun?
Ano ba yung pangalan niya? Aika or Fankiss? I'm confused.
Aika. Francis Aika yata siya. Francisca. Ano po?
Okay.
Aika. Francis.
Francis, oo.
Francesca?
Oo. Aika
Francis?
yata yung gusto niyang.
Aika, okay. Aika.
So anyway, mukhang hindi na. Kasi even yung July 17, tinanggal na rin nila eh. So no need to hurry, I think.
Sige. Para ma-take in din natin yung mga ng mga ano
Oo. How about Micah? Is that okay with you?
Yes, that's okay with me.
Oo. So,
Ano yung pag-usapan natin sa susunod? Sa Monday. Tama, Monday.
Ayan, yung na lang sir, yung last na na theory, ay yung last
Yung pinakita mo?
reading 202, yung
mga
pinakita ko.
readability.
Tapos review natin, send ako ng link kasi maganda ang link, parang very quick lang ang link na to for review from the first yung yung kila Ria tsaka Micah to the last one na. So, isend ko na lang yun sa natin. Tapos, pakita lang ako ng konti doon sa last ng tatlong theories na natin. Tapos, the rest is sharing na lang din ulit for more on reading history. Parang ganon.
If you want, you can look for questions then. You can ask one another, prepare a question or 2 or 3 related to the topic or the mga previous topics para may ready na tayo na pag-uusapan.
Oo.
Okay.
Kasi minsan parang na-mental block ka rin, wala nang lumalabas.
Kasi habang nag-usap tayo, kunwari tapos na ako magsalita and then may nagsasalita kayo, all of a sudden may naalala ako. So, saka ko sasabihin, mauurong na naman. So, ayun ba? Parang i-organize natin kasi mahirap kasi impromptu kasi tayo eh.
Oo, true. Sige. Natin yan.
Ito, effective strategies for teaching reading. Okay. Synonym.
Yan, very lang siya, very quick lang yung niya. Actually, lahat yan na natin, nasa module natin. Module natin lahat yan. Pero very quick lang yung niyan, tawag nito, explanation, 1 paragraph lang lahat ng explanation yan. So, maganda yan. Magandang yan. Site yan. For review lang. For review.
Tinitignan ko yung yung channel ko. Channel. Na may mga nanonood nung natin, review natin. Ewan ko kung sila yun. Yung mga classmates natin. I'm not sure. Mga 20.
Oh!
Yeah. Medyo na-surprise din ako kasi may nanonood pala.
Don't worry, sir. Dadami yan habang mo na, i-off mo na yung record natin. Wala na tayong sharing para hindi ka na mag-edit dyan.
Oo nga, Pag in-edit ko kasi siya,